There are people who change the world. There are people who save millions of lives. And there are people whom this world betrays so cruelly that their story becomes a nation's shame. Alan Turing was all of these at once. The man who broke Enigma. The father of the modern computer. A genius whose ideas laid the foundation for artificial intelligence. He shortened World War II by 2 years and saved, according to historians' estimates, more than 14 million lives. And in gratitude, the society he saved destroyed him for who he was. Alan Matheson Turing was born on June 23, 1912, in London. From childhood, he was different. While other children played, he counted patterns on the pavement, studied the movement of bees, asked questions adults couldn't answer. Teachers didn't know what to do with him. This strange boy who solved complex mathematical problems in his head, but couldn't remember grammar rules. At 14, something happened in Alan's life that changed him forever. He met Christopher Morcom, his first friend, his first love. Together they studied mathematics, dreamed of the future, wrote letters to each other filled with formulas and hopes. But in February 1930, Christopher suddenly died of tuberculosis. Alan was 17. He was devastated. In a letter to Christopher's mother, Turing wrote, "I know I must put as much energy, if not as much interest into my work, as if he were alive, because that is what he would like me to do." And he kept that promise. In 1936, at age 24, Turing published work that changed the world. He described a hypothetical machine, a device capable of performing any calculation imaginable. The Turing Machine, a concept on which all modern computers are based. When the war began, Turing was 27. British intelligence invited him to Bletchley Park, a place where the country's best minds gathered to solve an impossible task, break Enigma. Colleagues remembered him as a shy man with a piercing laugh who could work on one problem for hours, forgetting about food and sleep. It was Turing who created the bomb machine, a device that could check thousands of combinations in minutes. He developed the Bambulismus method for breaking naval Enigma, the most complex version of the cipher. His work saved thousands of ships in the Battle of the Atlantic, helped win the battle at El Alamein, ensured the success of the Normandy landings. General Dwight Eisenhower would later say, "Intelligence work shortened the war by 2 years." Historian Andrew Hodges, Turing's biographer, calculated, "This means 14 million lives saved." 14 million. One man, one genius, working in secret, whom the world would learn about only 30 years later. After the war, Turing didn't stop. He worked on creating a real computer, developed ideas for artificial intelligence, studied mathematical foundations of biology. In 1950 he published Computing Machinery and Intelligence, where he proposed the famous Turing Test, a way to determine if a machine can think. His ideas were half a century ahead of their time. In January 1952, Alan Turing's house in Manchester was burgled. Police began an investigation, and then Turing did what many considered madness. He told the truth. He revealed he was in a relationship with 19-year-old Arnold Murray. In 1952 Britain, this was a crime. The man who saved millions found himself in the dock. He was charged with gross indecency, what British law called homosexuality. He had a choice, prison or treatment. Turing chose hormone therapy, chemical castration. He was injected with female hormones meant to cure him. The side effects were horrifying: impotence, breast enlargement, depression, mood swings. But the worst was yet to come. Convicted of immoral conduct, Turing lost his security clearance. The man who broke Enigma could no longer work for the government. He was considered a threat to national security, because homosexuals could be blackmailed. The absurdity of the situation needs no comment. Friends remembered how Turing changed after the trial. Maria Greenbaum, daughter of his psychoanalyst, recalled their last meeting. "This sunny, cheerful visage had shrunk into a pale, shaking, horror-stricken face. Something had happened. We don't know what the fortune teller said, but he obviously was deeply unhappy. That was the last time we saw him before we heard of his suicide. On June 8, 1954, a housekeeper found Alan Turing's body in his bedroom. He was 41 years old. Next to the bed lay a half-eaten apple. An autopsy showed cyanide poisoning. The investigation quickly reached a verdict: suicide. But was it really suicide? Turing's mother denied it until her death. Friends pointed to oddities. Turing was planning meetings, working on new projects. Left no suicide note. In his house was a small home laboratory where he conducted chemical experiments. Perhaps it was an accident. Turing may have accidentally inhaled cyanide fumes during an experiment. But even if it was an accident, the question remains: who is responsible for a genius being in a state where such an accident could occur? The society that subjected him to humiliation, the law that turned love into a crime, the government that rejected the man who saved the country. Turing was buried quietly. His achievements remained classified. The world didn't know what it had lost. Only a narrow circle of colleagues understood the scale of the tragedy. But they couldn't speak. Secrecy over justice. Decades passed. In the 1970s, information about Bletchley Park was declassified, and the world finally learned the truth about Turing's contribution to victory. Campaigns for his rehabilitation began. Petitions, letters, protests. But the British government remained silent for a long time. In 2009, Prime Minister Gordon Brown officially apologized to Turing on behalf of the government. The apology stated, "We're sorry. You deserve so much better. We're sorry we couldn't protect you." But words were not enough. In 2013, almost 60 years after his death, Queen Elizabeth II granted Turing a posthumous pardon. Justice Secretary Chris Grayling stated, "Turing deserves to be remembered and recognized for his fantastic contribution to the war effort and his legacy to science." A pardon from the Queen is a fitting tribute to an exceptional man. But activists pointed out the bitter irony. Only Turing received a pardon, while more than 50,000 other men convicted under the same laws remained without apologies. In 2016, the Alan Turing Law was passed, legislation that posthumously exonerated all those convicted of homosexuality in the United Kingdom. Today, Turing's name is known worldwide. His portrait adorns the £50 note. The highest award in computer science is named after him, the Turing Award, the Nobel Prize of Computer Science. Films, books, monuments, all attempts to atone for guilt. But can what was done ever be atoned for? Alan Turing's story is not just a genius's biography. It's a reminder of how society can destroy its heroes, how fear and hatred can be stronger than gratitude and reason, how unjust laws destroy lives. Every time you use a computer, open a smartphone, speak with artificial intelligence, you're using Alan Turing's legacy, a man who changed the world twice. First, when he saved it from fascism. Second, when he gave it a digital future. He deserved to live a long life. He deserved recognition in his lifetime. He deserved love and acceptance. He received none of this. But his ideas outlived those who judged him. And today we remember, genius knows no boundaries, but prejudice does. Subscribe to the channel to learn more about people whose stories changed the world. In the next episode, the women of Bletchley Park, heroines whom history forgot.